You guys remember Ava Baroni Combs, the video that we shared and talked about together?
Ava Baroni Combs? Yes, it was breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child.
I think that, he particularly, he brainwashed those kids, and that's what narcissists and people of his caliber do.
Why was he puppy like little boys? Why was they so close? Why is he so close like that's his boyfriend instead of his daddy? It's just a lot of weird questions there.
What you're about to hear is often presented online not as confirmed fact, but as a narrative some people interpret as a pattern when they connect various public moments. In 2020, a major figure in the music industry appeared on Instagram Live and introduced a young girl as his adopted daughter, a moment viewed by many before quickly fading from attention. Some online commentators later noted that there was no publicly detailed legal documentation discussed during the live stream, and the event was generally treated in the media as a casual celebrity moment. Over time, individuals, including former industry associates, have made broader claims about the environment surrounding him, which have circulated widely online and contributed to further speculation. These discussions eventually expanded into questions about his social circles and public appearances, with some online voices focusing on the girl introduced in that live stream and claiming she has since maintained a low or limited public presence. This lack of visible updates has fueled additional online discussion and theories, particularly as unrelated legal and investigative news involving the figure later emerged, leading some commentators to revisit earlier public moments and question whether they fully reflected the broader context behind them.
You guys remember Ava Baroni Combs, the video that we shared and talked about together?
Ava Baroni Combs? Yes, it was breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child.
On the streets, and then Papa Combs.
I did some digging around and found some old photos that go back many years. She was with him when she was very, very young, so she is in fact his adopted daughter. Some are saying this woman in the background here is her mother, but nothing is confirmed. You can see she's been with him in interviews, hanging out with Diddy's daughters. She was seen everywhere with Diddy's daughter. Here's another one. And I mean, they go way back. And here's a few more. So it shows that, yes, indeed, they spent time together and they grew up together. This is, in fact, their sister and Diddy's adopted daughter. However, I found a video that is so suspect. I want you guys to check it out and tell me what you think.
This is my life.
I'm a bodyguard now.
This is
Because I am a great father. But I'm sleeping with the girl.
Tell me, who do y'all have a crush on? Tell Daddy the truth.
I don't know about you guys, but that video and the way Diddy's acting raises so many questions. So many are asking, where's Ava Baroni Combs now?
Watch the footage carefully, not just the smiles or the celebration, but his behavior in that moment. People online who have rewatched the video frame by frame are questioning whether something seems off, pointing to his demeanor and asking why a grown man appears the way he does at a children's sleepover. The bigger question being raised is who Ava Barron actually is. According to online claims, she was not introduced through a formal adoption agency or any publicly documented legal process, and no clear paperwork has been shown regarding the situation. Instead, it is suggested that her biological parents were part of a close social circle connected to Kim Porter, who had a long and widely discussed relationship with Sean Combs. From this perspective, she is described as someone brought into his environment through trusted personal connections within his inner circle rather than formal institutions. Some online narratives also claim that Ava herself has spoken about how this arrangement came to be, adding further to the ongoing speculation and debate surrounding the circumstances.
I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. Please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he was going to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Yeah.
In some online narratives, she is described as coming from a vulnerable background, with claims suggesting she was later taken in by Sean Combs in what is portrayed as an informal adoption or guardianship based on personal trust rather than a formally documented legal process. These accounts allege there was no visible involvement of an agency, court supervision, or any official government body confirming the arrangement or its conditions. The story is framed by some commentators as a decision made through close personal connections and trust within a social circle, which in turn has led others online to raise broader legal and ethical questions about how such situations are handled and verified.
Now, according to insiders, this was all a joke. It was streamed during the COVID-19 lockdown, and as everyone was going a little stir-crazy, Combs has said in the video that he had gotten permission from Ava's mom to legally adopt her, but to be clear, that never really happened. Ava Baroni apparently was good friends with the twin daughters that Combs had with Kim Porter, Delilah, and Jessie. Kim was reportedly good friends with Ava's parents, so she was around all the time. She was often photographed with the twins. Now, Ava has been quiet on social media recently, apparently even removing her Instagram. And for what it's worth, the username at one point was Ava Baroni Combs.
Some accounts claim he stated he had consent from her biological mother. However, legal commentators often note that even with parental consent, formal adoption or guardianship typically still requires court supervision, official documentation, and legal safeguards designed to protect minors. From this perspective, critics argued there was no publicly confirmed legal adoption process and instead point to a live stream announcement and appearances at events such as birthdays and sleepovers without any visible legal records being made public. Later, following reports of federal raids and an indictment involving properties linked to Sean Combs, online discussions intensified, with some commentators revisiting earlier events and raising additional questions. Speculation also circulated about the individual referenced in these discussions, with some online voices alleging she later disappeared from public view and that her family stopped making public statements. These claims remain part of online discourse and are not established legal facts, but are still cited by commentators as part of a broader narrative they suggest could warrant formal examination.
The interesting thing is the potential of what could come. We know that P. Diddy had 7 kids. One of them he actually really did adopt, Quincy. And there's a lot of questions about, did these kids attend the party? If Ava was his adopted daughter, whether real or not, was she treated like a child? And what are the implications with her being treated like P. Diddy's other kids?
So you're saying she could potentially be a witness for the government if she observed any of this criminal conduct. That's something that we're thinking about.
A girl who, according to online narratives, is said to have spent time inside the Combs household and attended private gatherings has been described by some commentators as someone who could potentially serve as a witness regarding what she observed, if she were ever located, protected, and willing to testify. However, these ideas remain speculative and unverified. At the same time, online discussions have attempted to draw comparisons between her alleged absence and an unrelated missing person case in San Antonio, Texas, involving a young girl and her mother, with some users pointing to similarities in age or timing. There is, however, no official evidence or law enforcement statement linking these situations, and credible investigations treat them as separate and unrelated matters.
The age progression photo seems to be a pretty close match. Ava Grace was reportedly abducted by her mother, Catherine Ann Baldwin. There were then, of course, the pictures of her with Diddy's twins since she was very small, around the age of Ava Grace when she disappeared. Diddy also mentioned that he had permission from her mother to go ahead and adopt her. Since the videos of her with Diddy had resurfaced after the raid back in March of 2024, and she hadn't been seen in any group photos or other social media posts for nearly a year, after having been in dozens of regular posts since Diddy had originally introduced her, people got concerned.
No official confirmation or law enforcement statement links the two cases. However, some online discussions tend to do what mainstream media generally avoids: search for patterns across unrelated events. Within that context, certain commentators suggest there may be broader structures at play involving influential figures in the entertainment industry, though these interpretations remain speculative and not evidence-based. From this perspective, they argue that situations like these are not viewed as random or isolated incidents, but rather as part of a perceived system or pattern, an interpretation that reflects online opinion rather than verified fact.
If there's a round of kids, it's the trafficker. P. Diddy gets a round of kids. Let's say that round of kids had Justin Bieber in it. There's contracts, okay? There's contracts for codes within that person, so they can take a remote and turn that person off. Britney Spears, when they want to. Lindsay Lohan, when they want to. Amanda Bynes, when they want to. Okay? So let's say there's a contract for Justin Bieber. When P. Diddy has a hold of Justin Bieber, he now owns half of those codes. If Usher had the same contract and trafficked Bieber out to P. Diddy, okay, Usher and P. Diddy now have parts of Justin Bieber's contract. You understand what I'm saying? So if one goes down, the other side of the code has to go down. If there's a property linked to that person, Kevin Hart, because they had something to do with the trafficking of Bieber, then their property will go down because there's a code to that property. There's a code to everything. Your social security number is like a code. Okay? But depending on the level of MK Ultra, people have auctions for the codes on that person. So they can use a remote to them like a TV and shut them down, turn it up, use somebody else, change it whenever they feel like.
Justin Bieber and Britney Spears are widely recognized public figures whose careers and personal lives have often been discussed in public and online spaces. In some online narratives, certain commentators claim there is a broader system surrounding parts of the entertainment industry that develops gradually over time through access, influence, dependency, and pressure, eventually leaving individuals feeling constrained or unable to fully trust their own perspective. These claims are not established fact and remain part of speculative commentary and personal accounts rather than verified evidence. Within that framing, such stories are sometimes used by online voices to describe how they believe these environments function and what they think may contribute to their persistence over time.
There is a lot going on with this case. These freak-off parties, they're not freak-off parties. There's a lot that happened. There's life-size wheels that people attach children to and spin it and decide who's having sex in what way. There are so many things. There's body cakes. There's party favors. And I'm talking like, you know how you put up a little birthday bag when you go to a birthday party? And before you can leave, you can take one of those little birthday bags off the table. And then there's toys and like all this stuff for coming to the party. Yeah. Instead of that, there's children. They call them party favors.
Party favors here is being used as slang, not in the harmless sense of gifts, but in reference to substances that some online narratives allege may be used to influence behavior, such as making individuals more compliant or less able to resist or fully engage. These claims suggest, within certain online discussions, that such situations could extend beyond isolated incidents and may reflect a broader pattern of control or manipulation. However, these remain allegations and interpretations circulating in public discourse and are not established or independently verified facts confirmed through court findings or official evidence. The central idea expressed in these narratives is that what is described is not viewed by those making the claims as a single event, but as part of a longer-term dynamic they believe may have lasting effects beyond any individual occurrence.
It cuts deeper than probably a financial problem. It cuts deeper than a spiritual problem. It cuts deeper than a location problem. It cuts deeper than a soul problem. Okay? It takes a minute. It takes a minute to get up. It takes a minute to get out the corner. And for those who are like, okay, so testify. No, because listen. No, because the attorney on Diddy's side is corrupt. You know that, right? Who's going to defend someone that they know damn well is a killer, a rapist, a child slave trader? Who's going to defend someone like that? Would you? After you know what's been done? After you know.
That's a money issue.
That's a money issue, right?
You don't care what happened to the kids. You don't care about your integrity.
That's not.
In some online narratives, it is described that private moments within powerful entertainment circles may be recorded and later used as leverage, with supporters of this view arguing that such material could discourage individuals from speaking out after leaving those situations. From this perspective, the fear of exposure is seen as a potential tool for maintaining silence and protecting reputations, especially among those who feel they lack legal, financial, or industry support. This framework is sometimes extended in online discussions to individuals in more vulnerable positions who do not have strong professional or personal protection. Within the same discourse, some commentators also reference claims attributed to figures such as Jaguar Wright, including suggestions involving Sean Combs. Though these remain allegations and unverified interpretations within internet discussions rather than established or proven facts.
Most people don't even know that the dark coin exists. But that's how they're trading for all of the flesh they sell. Which is why I became so outraged last year when the twins turned 16 and he had them dressed like prostitutes and then he auctioned them off as NFTs because the NFT that he sold them to was attached to that dark fucking coin. It was like a promissory note to sell his daughters to the highest bidder.
Some online discussions referencing statements attributed to Jaguar Wright suggest that certain public appearances and private events within the entertainment industry may have had meanings that go beyond what is publicly presented. According to these claims, some observers interpret interactions involving industry figures in a way they believe reflects deeper issues of influence and power dynamics. However, these assertions are controversial, widely disputed, and not supported by verified evidence or official findings. Within this broader discourse, references are sometimes made to Sean Combs and his family in connection with these narratives, but it is important to emphasize that such interpretations remain unproven allegations circulating in online commentary rather than established fact.
There are 3 women I know right now in my life. They've been in my life for 6 years. I've been caring for them for 3 years. I got them off of Epstein Island. I cannot say where they are in the world. What I can say is when they got into the boat, they were roughed.
Wow.
Want to know how they ended up on Epstein Island?
Please.
They auditioned to be models for music videos.
Oh, casting couch.
When they got to Miami, they had to show and turn over their ID. And they collected their passports. And then they drugged them. And then the next thing you know, they were in a storage container getting fucked by a bunch of weird strangers on camera who were bidding for all of the terrible things that were happening to them live on.
Some online narratives and commentary, often unverified and heavily disputed, have drawn connections between separate high-profile figures and events, including claims involving Sean Combs and Jeffrey Epstein. Within these discussions, some individuals, including statements attributed to Jaguar Wright, are cited as claiming awareness of alleged victims and broader patterns of abuse, though these assertions are not supported by verified evidence or official findings. Certain independent online commentators also attempt to link unrelated cases or individuals based on perceived similarities in timelines or circumstances, sometimes referencing an individual referred to in internet discussions as Ava. However, there is no confirmed evidence establishing any connection between these separate narratives, nor any official reporting that supports such links. Figures such as Gene Deal and Tim Patterson have been cited in online discourse regarding early life environments and industry culture, but these interpretations remain part of broader speculation rather than substantiated fact.
I want to say this to you, Quincy, because I know that your mother was protecting you not only from Al, which is your father and he loved you. It was for what he would have done or Puff would have done to him. Your father ain't never been no sucker. He's a good dude. and your mother was protecting you and him from Puff. Your mother was protecting you and him from Puff. Your father was from money earning Mount Vernon. And he ain't never been no sucker, bro. I go back with Al ever since '89. And I'm letting you know this, brother. That's your pops.
Some online discussions and commentary, largely based on unverified claims and disputed accounts, have circulated around the relationship dynamics involving Kim Porter and individuals within her family and social circle. In these narratives, figures such as Al B. Sure and Quincy Brown are sometimes referenced, along with statements attributed to Gene Deal, suggesting that Kim Porter may have been navigating a complex and potentially difficult environment and acting in ways she believed were protective of her child. Some accounts further claim that Al B. Sure was urged to accept public narratives regarding Quincy's paternity, though these assertions remain disputed and not supported by verified evidence. Overall, these interpretations come from online commentary and personal accounts rather than established or legally confirmed facts.
Other than that, for some strange reason, Puff always want to claim something that ain't his. I just think that it's a lot of brainwashing that went on. I think that, he brainwashed those kids, and that's what narcissists and people of his caliber do to a lot of people around him. I feel like Quincy was brainwashed. I feel like Justin and the rest of them. Justin was too. Justin's mother was real strict. Nisha was real strict with Justin. I think when he got with Puff, he got brainwashed.
Some online narratives describe a pattern they interpret as calculated and psychologically manipulative, suggesting that early childhood environments can strongly shape how a person understands relationships and normal behavior. From this perspective, commentators argue that when a child is raised in an unhealthy or unstable setting, they may adapt to it as their baseline, even if those conditions are later viewed as harmful. However, this remains an interpretive framework rather than an established fact, and it is not supported by verified evidence in the context being discussed. Within the same broader online discourse, some individuals, including figures such as Freddie P., have made observational claims about the dynamics involving Quincy Brown, suggesting that what they witnessed did not resemble a conventional father-son relationship. These statements are based on personal interpretation and commentary rather than confirmed documentation or legal findings, and should be understood as part of ongoing online discussion rather than proven fact.
Do Quincy got kids? Why Quincy don't have no kids? Why he talk so sweet? Why was he Puffy like little boys? Why was they so close? Why is he so close like that's his boyfriend instead of his daddy? It's just a lot of weird questions there.
According to some online narratives and statements attributed to Gene Deal, a recurring pattern is described in which interpersonal relationships within the circle of Seancombs are framed as involving blurred boundaries, possessiveness, and control across personal, professional, and familial interactions. In these interpretations, some commentators claim that such dynamics may have influenced how close relationships within that environment developed over time, including those involving Quincy Brown. However, these claims remain part of unverified online discourse and personal testimony rather than established or legally confirmed facts. They reflect individual perspectives and interpretations, and there is no official finding or documented evidence that supports the broader conclusions being drawn from them.
I don't know how many dudes do kiss their mother in their mouth when they 50, 60 years old or something like that. That's them, that's their whole thing, man, but that was a little kind of weird for me. And then his mother wore the same white fingernail polish that Cassie described that he liked to see her and other models in when she was describing her lawsuit. And what's crazy to me is that, man, it seemed like him and his mother had this, I don't want to get too deep, man, this Oedipus complex thing.
Some online commentary attributed to Gene Deal also references Sean Combs' younger son, Adonis Combs, suggesting that certain relationship dynamics within the family environment may reflect broader patterns they believe have existed over time. In these interpretations, some commentators frame these claims as part of a repeating cycle of behavior across generations, rather than isolated or unrelated incidents. However, these assertions remain part of unverified online discourse and personal interpretation, not established fact or confirmed evidence. There are no official findings or verified documentation supporting the idea of a structured or generational pattern as described in these narratives.
So I'm looking at his mother and him on the couch, and both of them are getting IVs after one of the Diddy parties. Allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly because I wasn't there and I didn't know. But they showed them both getting IVs on the couch. So my whole thing about this thing is that I'm not saying that she was ever at a freak off. She was ever at that type of party. But you can't tell me Miss Janice Combs, who was always at the regular parties, didn't know nothing about the freak off parties. This is the same dude, bruh, that used to disrespect his mother. So I seen the love now that they have for each other only on film and camera. You know, on the YouTube or Instagram or wherever they were showing them and stuff like that. But this the same guy that Kirk Burrows once told me he slapped his mother.
Some online discussions and allegations, largely unverified and not supported by official findings, have also claimed serious misconduct involving Sean Combs and even suggested alleged conflict within his family, including references to his mother and claims about strained or aggressive behavior. These narratives also point to public moments and live-stream jokes that some interpret as inappropriate, though such interpretations remain subjective and not evidence of wrongdoing. From this broader framing, commentators argue that certain behavioral patterns are long-standing and may have originated earlier in life and continued into adulthood. But this remains speculative rather than established fact. Some claims even extend to other family members, including his son Adonis Combs, suggesting a repeating cycle across generations, though again without verified legal support. Within the same online discourse, an individual referred to as Ava is sometimes mentioned as having been present within the wider social circle but not formally documented, with speculation about her public visibility over time. However, there is no confirmed record or official reporting supporting these claims, and they remain part of internet-based narratives rather than substantiated evidence.